Hi, this is attorney Frank Walker of FrankWalkerLaw.com. This weekend, I want you to be smart and think about your actions. Don't drink and drive. Facing a DUI charge can result in the loss of your license, your freedom, or worse. DUI charges require immediate attention and action. Let me show you what to expect. For a free consultation, visit my website at FrankWalkerLaw.com. That's FrankWalkerLaw.com. I'll give you real talk, real experience, and real results. Go to my website today for a free evaluation. FrankWalkerLaw.com.
Time for the debut of Sports Legal here on Trib Live Radio. And you heard the man right there, Pittsburgh lawyer Frank Walker, FrankWalkerLaw.com. He joins us here on the power line. Frank, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent, man. I understand you're a West Virginia grad. These have to be delicate times to be a Mountaineer sports fan and a graduate.
It is always good to be a Mountaineer.
Yeah, but they got some drama down there, don't they, Frank?
Yeah, that's what I hear. I'm reading about it, and I'm hoping it gets resolved so we can get back to talking about football.
The legal side of that, I guess, is the drinking at the stadium was the first issue, which got everybody talking down there, and that seems more of a money issue than it does a legal one. Although I'm sure they're going to hope to avoid, DUIs and potential ramifications coming out from legalizing drinking sales inside Mountaineer Stadium.
Right. Well, I think it's an amazing atmosphere down at the stadium, but I think what they wanted to do, they want to prevent some of the underage drinking because a lot of the college kids come in. They're not 21 yet. So obviously some people, they engage in some conduct outside of the stadium, and then they come into the stadium. So I think this is one way, just somehow reining in some of the underage drinking and also talking about, it's a moneymaker, obviously, but also it has an opportunity to address the underage drinking also.
You guys deal with DUIs all the time at your firm, I understand. Is that correct?
All the time, in their regular form and then also in the form of underage drinking. And then sometimes you get into DUI and there's also an accident involving a death or an injury. So we deal with those also. Do
you notice a spike on like Steelers game days or like Mountaineer game days by chance?
Yes. Game days, the fall is always a good time. Well, not a good time, but a spike in the DUI charges. We see a lot of it during the holidays, 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, any hot day. I mean, there's always times you see an increase in it, but then you see, like around holidays and events, we see a lot of a spike in the DUI charges.
I mean, I'm sure it happens in every city around the country, but you're in Pittsburgh. The transportation, the public transit here is not real accessible at a lot of spots. It's got to be a huge problem in the Pittsburgh metro area, more so than in other cities.
Yeah, it is a huge problem. It is. You visit the other cities, there's always transit to get around at all times of the day and most of the times of the night, but here there's not a lot Pittsburgh offers as far as transportation during different hours. So it's difficult, but I think when you're dealing with a life and you're dealing with charges and legal ramifications and health and safety, you have to find another way, and that's what I encourage people to do. I don't want people to see me because if you see me, obviously something has happened, there's a mistake. But if we could prevent it, our job as attorneys obviously is to represent people, but if we could prevent it and put a message out there, please don't drink and drive. Find another way to do it. That's our opportunity to do so.
Yeah, and I saw there was a paper a piece in the Trib today about some guy who had been, he had like 15 DUIs or something. Some people just don't get the message, do they?
No, and it's tough. It's tough because you have to balance the interests of the courts and jails and prisons. I mean, do you put someone in jail for a DUI, just repeatedly DUI, no injury, no accident, over and over again, versus you have people who are charged with sex assault crimes, homicide crimes, and there's obviously an overcrowding issue. Now, obviously, I'm not making excuses for the jails or for DUIs. I mean, it's a delicate issue that involves more than just attorneys. There are people in the jails and people who handle the jails that have to come into consideration and join that discussion on how do we handle these repeat offenders.
Sports Legal with Pittsburgh lawyer Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results when it matters most. Check him out at FrankWalkerLaw.com. And the other legal side of, I guess this is more of a contractual side with West Virginia, and that's with their interim coach. They have Dana Holgerson coming in. He was escorted out of a casino at 3 in the morning by police. I guess he went out of his own volition. I'm not sure if he had signed the new contract yet, but then, of course, Bill Stewart, who's the interim guy, people were saying he's allegedly throwing out stories to undermine him and phony stories of Holgerson's past. What is going on here? I mean, That's as like drama as you get for a college football player.
It's a mess. It's a mess. I mean, you have the allegations. Obviously, I wasn't there. I'm not sure many people who are reporting on it were there when it happened. Obviously, the athletic director, Luck, has decided to handle this in-house, and I think he's trying to do his best job as he can to keep it in-house and come up with a united front. Okay, this is where we're going. This is how it's going to be handled. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion on what to do and how to handle it, but obviously it's his decision and his staff, and we trust him as Mountaineer alum that he will make the right decision. Now, again, we just want to get back to playing football and seeing football played.
Well, yeah, exactly, and I think the players are the same way. Just make this go away, right? I mean,
immediately.
Yeah, which is what you do. Tell people about Frank Walker Law and what happens if they look you up. Obviously, they're going to be coming to you if they need some services, right?
Right. And I handle criminal defense and personal injury, medical malpractice, mostly on the criminal defense realm. For DUIs, there's always an opportunity to have an alternative disposition of it. For example, there's programs for first-time offenders. There's programs for multiple offenders. And there's ways of handling and addressing the issue, which is the alcohol consumption. So if you come to an attorney, preferably me, obviously, I'm here, I'm talking about it. If you come to an attorney, most attorneys will tell you, hey, this is a way to handle it. You need to address it before it goes on and on and on, because it affects you not only in your job search, but also in your personal life, and it will affect you in your employment. So you want to take care of it as soon as possible. You don't want to go at it alone. A lot of people think, I can just go in, tell the judge how remorseful I am. It doesn't work like that. There are few and far between of people who can go before a judge and handle it the way it should be handled, to where you walk away unscathed or with minimal exposure as possible. But if you go to an experienced attorney and you speak with them, and they can advise you how to go about the DUI.
Well, if you had been Plexico Burris' criminal defense attorney a couple of years ago before he was sentenced, would you have had a chance to do anything for him? I mean, it sounded like that was a cut and dry New York law he violated there, right?
Well, that's what it sounds like, but I believe there was an opportunity before the charges for the indictment came down to actually speak with the prosecutors and try to resolve it beforehand, obviously with less time and preferably a little bit less treatment, less harsh treatment. But he chose not to. He received the advice not to, or he acted up on his own not to handle it before the indictment came down. And now he sits 2 years later trying to get back into the NFL. And I wish him the best. I mean, he did some good things there in Pittsburgh, and I enjoyed watching him play. But I hope he gets back and gets his life back together for his family.
Why do you think he was advised not to take some lesser charges? He didn't want to spend day one in jail, I guess, right?
Well, initially when I come across clients and they're charged and they're arrested with something, the initial reaction is either I didn't do it, or I can fight this, they're wrong, I'm right, I can get out of this, I'm smarter than the police. They've been doing this for a long time, and they have experience dealing with tons and tons of clients and defendants over and over and over again. So they know how to handle it. But the client who has that attitude that I can talk my way out of this, I'm a superstar, I can do this, I can do that, it had never happened to me. It happens. And I think part of the 2-year sentence was an example that you're not better than anyone else. You're not above the law, and this is what we're going to do. You have the opportunity to resolve it. If you don't, this is what's going to happen. They called his bluff, and there he sits.
Yeah, Mike Vick he's got his autobiography coming out, and he was saying the same thing. Like, his attorneys were asking him when all the dogfighting charges were being brought, like, Mike, were you involved in dogfighting? And he kept just lying, saying no, and his lawyers were like, you got to be honest with us. He wasn't. How often do you come up with that where, not that you're suspicious necessarily, but even your own clients aren't telling you the truth?
Well, that's part of I have the slogan, real talk, real experience, real results. Part of the real talk is that I tell them, look, from the beginning, you need to tell me what happened. If it doesn't make sense to me, it's not going to make sense to a jury. It's not going to make sense to a judge. It's not going to make sense to the people who are going to have your life in their hands. So I need to know the full story right now so I can advise you. If you're telling me half the story and then I show up and all of a sudden there's like 5 witnesses, there's DNA, and they have you on tape and audio tape and videotape, there's nothing I can do for you at that point. Tell me everything from the jump so I can advise you whether to plead guilty or go forward and fight these charges.
It's easier said than done, though, for people who are in a tough spot, right?
Yeah, it is. It is, because obviously they're not trustworthy of people, whether it be because we're officers of the court, and they see us somewhat as an extension of the court. So they're kind of leery. Do I really trust him? Do I really trust her?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do right now. But if you have an attorney, tell them the entire story up front. Don't make them fish for the information. Make sure you get it to them because they're duty bound to hold your information in confidence. So just tell them everything.
And last thing for you, Frank, we had a huge week at Terrell Pryor, fallout, the Jeanette High School product. He's done at Ohio State. Looks like he's going to wait around for the National Football League, the whole Tressel mess out at OSU. And, it's not illegal for him to receive money for autographs, as a former friend alleged that he had up to, $40,000 a year. But he had to know it's cheating, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to abide by the rules. I mean, I think it needs to be addressed with student athletes in the payment. I mean, I think it needs to be addressed. I'm not the person to talk about it, obviously, but I think they need to sit down and come to a resolution, because there's a lot of money going in and out of those universities from the games, women and men's games, and I think it needs to be addressed. But what he's alleged to have done and the way he stepped down, how everything happened there, is just a mess. It's just a mess. I think it needs to be addressed. He's trying to move on, but I think he received some bad advice while he was going through that.
And the whole ball started rolling with the owner of the tattoo parlor, right, who was investigated for, was it drug running, or he had some kind of a drug operation going on. That's all it took for the whole thing to start going downhill. Exactly.
I mean, once they take a peek and they get a glimpse that there's smoke, they're going to look for the fire, and that's what they found. They saw the smoke, they smelled the smoke, and they figured there's got to be something else. And that's a huge institution in the Columbus area. Yeah. Ohio State, that brings up people on Saturdays from all over, all walks of life. So they wanted to make sure that was squeaky clean. So a lot of people have stepped down. The coach stepped down. A lot of people are leaving the university to go on to pursue different things. But I just hope he takes it as a lesson and learns from it, and tries to go back and teach some of the other athletes, look, this is what I did. This is what these are the bad mistakes I made. Don't fall into the same steps.
Well, Frank, I'm sure it's a tough time for a lot of people. The downturn in the economy, it just naturally, it's going to lead to desperate people and crime and things. But it's nice to know they got somebody like you out there who's you can talk to, you can trust, and you're there for them, right?
That's it. That's what I'm putting out there. That's my offer to the community. If you need someone to talk, you're in a bad situation, give me a call. I can tell you what to expect. Even if it's something else. If it's something I don't handle, I will tell you. If it's something I can handle and I can help you with, I will tell you. If it's something I think you should plead guilty to and get it resolved before it gets more serious and you're looking at more time, I'll tell you. And I think that's the duty of every attorney.
Well, exactly. And, hey, man, I'm looking forward to talking with you every week. Unfortunately, this trickles down into the sports world more than maybe we would like or I understand. So Sports Legal every week here with Frank Walker. Good start. We appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it. Take care. See you next week.
Okay, that's Frank Walker. FrankWalker.com is the website. Real talk, real experience, real results when it matters most.